everyone.
Okay. Okay, so let's see who's there. Let's wait for 1 more minute and then we can start. In the meantime, yeah, Pedro, would you mind taking notes for this meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, I shared it. We use the same pattern.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's just get started and then we can, like, whoever joins later. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining this Core Dev call. I have 2 topics to discuss today, but let's first start with the usual Swarm updates. And yeah, let's start with the sticker market. If there is anyone.
Is it okay if we do? Is it okay if we do an update just for Core UI, the new Swarm?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can start with that. So, because Sticker Market is still in the audit process, as far as I know, we are making really good progress within Core UI. Andre shipped basic custom ERC20 token support today, I believe. Eric's making some improvements to wallet transaction history and the way we retrieve transactions and persist transactions. And Julian's making good headway on the new ENS registration and verification flow, which we're moving into the application for various reasons. And there are notes I can share if you're interested. The one point that's relevant to others on this call is just that with Tribute to Talk, we're running into a lot of problems with IPFS. We aren't necessarily able to host information well or not retrieve the information that we're hosting with Tribute to Talk, the manifests. Not quite sure why, but basically we're looking into other solutions for that. One option being to have our own hosted IPFS getaway, and the other being to actually switch over to hosting the feature on Swarm instead. So we're doing a bit of experimentation this week with both of those options, and we're going to regroup next week to discuss what we think is best, but both are a little bit risky and will affect any feature where we're hosting something on IPFS, really, including stickers.
One question I had about IPFS, are we verifying the content that we're downloading from IPFS? Does anyone know?
I don't think we are, no.
Okay, because I found out that apparently the hashing from IPFS is actually non-deterministic. So depending on the way that we chunk, how you chunk those files when you're uploading them, the hash can be entirely different, which kind of defeats the point. So I'll be asking the Swarm guys if that's still an issue with, or if that isn't even an issue with Swarm this Thursday and Friday.
Are you gonna be in Madrid, Jared?
Yeah, I am. I'm in Barcelona at the moment.
Okay, cool. So is Eric. So he'll be there to work on proof of concept and testing for this.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Jared, they don't enforce a various method for hashing content.
It's multi-hash, and That the thing is like you can define the hashing algorithm, but you can't. You don't define the DAG. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, I'll think about that.
Cool. Well, it'll be good to hear from you. But yeah, that's where we're at right now with that.
Cool, thank you. So I guess tribute.talk is also goes there, right? So is there anything on the App Store side? No, there is no one from it.
I know that Andy has been working with a company called LimeChain to build out a version 2 of Dapp Store. But as far as I know, like we're still deciding whether or not we're going to continue that stream of work right now.
Okay, yeah, cool. So then Stellar Network, Yuri?
Yeah, Rachel, who is Andy working with on that one?
LimeChain?
LimeChain?
Yeah, I can give you contact if you need.
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, so Stellar Network, we've been doing Monday iterations. We switched from 1 week to 1 day because we needed much more feedback, and so we've been doing a lot of intensive testing every day, and we did tons of fixes. And meanwhile, for the scalability part, we're looking at sidechains, namely the POA. We currently stuck with this issue. We contacted the POA team, and they're looking into this issue. We also looked at Raiden, but it seems it's not really in a ready state or usable state for our particular use case. Then liquid funding, I've been trying to push that past the finishing line. Our goal now is to compile the list of workflows needed and deploy to mainnet as soon as we can. So this upcoming week. Then for, well, what's that? You want to know for Embark too?
Yeah.
So for Embark, we've been doing a lot of things under the hood, namely that we started. We have been moving into a learner type of structure with a monorepo, so everything is super modular, and we're nearly complete with that. We started to do also benchmarks in terms of converting large projects to Embark, and just to do benchmarks compared with other frameworks, making sure that we are fast and everything works as expected. And we're also moving. We're working on version 5, which will simplify a lot of things for the developer, and make it also compatible, or much more compatible with other environments like Node.
Cool, thank you. Do you have any other swarms to do? Or don't you remember DAO? Wasn't it on also your side? Or?
DAO, I have liquid funding. DAO, I don't think. No, don't think so.
Okay, then we'll go to token economics and Ricardo, I guess.
I could probably pick that one up, at least in terms of like the blog series we have going. We've done a lot of work here at this week at Blockchain Week. I have the original draft, like the interactive draft on token economics for ENS usernames finished, or at least like the initial draft. Waiting on someone to pour through it and feedback on what we'd like to include, which is probably mostly going to be gathering available data and coming up with reasoning behind the defaults we choose during that draft. But it's pretty interesting. It'll probably hopefully go out by the end of this week or the beginning of next week for the first blog, and we hope to keep a cadence of each ENS username coming out with an interactive article explaining it, hopefully on a weekly cadence, but we'll see how that goes.
All right. Sorry, just to clarify, what you call the DAO, it's actually liquid funding, but I just started to call it liquid funding now because that's basically
Okay.
what you're doing.
It just it would be cool actually to we have this active swarms page in status.am/swarms repo. So just if there is any name changes or anything, because I'm reading this one, so not.
Is token economics inside that swarm?
Yeah, it's in this document. So at least I know that. Yeah, but one thing that would be nice to add there is microtopic democracy, I think, and Ricardo. I remember that it's there, but it would be nice to add.
The problem with calling DAO is that mostly everything that we are building is a DAO. So,
Yeah.
but of course, the idea of DAO that we mean here is this executive organization that is able to take decisions in a decentralized way. This is what we are calling DAO here, and that's why liquid funding is being called DAO. Just because of this case of it's being able to fund swarms being decentralized. That was one of the purposes of the original DAO. And then we also have this topic democracy that is not used to fund swarms, but to configure smart contracts in a decentralized way to replace the only owner. And it's also a DAO. And yeah, so we should not call everything DAOs. Then that's confusing, not just to us, but to everyone listening to us.
I agree, but I'll share the page, and then it would be nice for everyone to take a look if their swarm is there and if it's updated and if the name is right, because yeah, it's useful to have some page where actually the active swarms are listed. So yeah, but Ricardo, don't you want to tell a little bit about the progress on the topic democracy then?
I don't have any progress for this call. I've been working in other stuff, but yeah, I will keep updated in the next calls.
Cool. Thank you. Then core improvements. I don't know, Anna, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so mostly we're working on performance improvements, also on improvements on the build system and optimization for mail servers and actually all our Status Go site. So that's a very short update.
Cool.
Again, Igor, if you have something to add, please do, but that's it from my side.
Yeah, and we still will soon merge the error reporting, right? So it should be
correct. So there are a lot of pieces that are coming, like that we need to put together to, and probably it will be exactly it will be in the next release that both users on Android and iOS can report errors and send logs to status email.
Without using some creepy third-party frameworks at the moment. So cool. Then I know Oscar is not here, but is there anyone who wants to do the update for the protocol research?
Just had our weekly swarm meeting on that one. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of updates there. Andrea did some work as a POC that's ready, and I think the topic the topic discussion this is on the agenda for discussion later today too, or like in this call.
Yeah. Okay. So and right now people are traveling to different conferences.
Okay.
Okay. So then, is there anyone who wants to talk about the janitors swarm and any updates there?
Yeah, I can give a quick update. So the team has been working on a couple things. One is making sure that everything is now tracked inside of Rike. There's a training happening this afternoon at 3:30 if anyone wants to join. So basically all the major swarms as well as our launches are able to be visualized and tracked, and what are the dependencies and everything like that. So that's one project that's been happening. Also, there's has been an attempt to try and streamline some of the review processes that have been happening. So, for example, is something ready for launch? Is something ready to go from ideation to specification and things like that, and having a clear documented process for that? Because right now, things are updated inside of the GitHub ideas repo, but then no one really follows up, and it kind of is a black hole. So those are the main process related things. So Rike and making a clear kind of review process. Anyone else wanted to give any other updates on?
Yeah, exactly that. And just the sort of instigator in terms of wanting to clarify the review process. We found in a few different areas, we've been kind of getting to a sort of later stage in the sort of implementation process, where it's been clear that certain things haven't been well specified. So we're just trying to make sure we're getting a lot better at that.
Cool, thank you. And I guess the last team that I can see is the keycard. Is there anyone from it?
Could maybe discuss multi-account as well.
Yeah. So
is Guy Louis here? You may be traveling.
Oh no, we don't hear you right now. Yeah, I should. Now we should be able to talk.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, a quick update on what we're working on the keycard team. So for the integration within Status app, Dimitri and Nastia have solved all the high and medium severity bugs. So there's a build coming in the coming days. So next step is to implement the new, the updates that have been done by mostly Andre and Hester to the onboarding and logging screens. This as well as the Ledger app integration. We're also working on the multi-account support within the Status wallet. So we're still in the research phase. We've got now a V1 of a use case doc, which is pretty detailed because we want to do this specification phase right. I encourage you to look at it. It's long, but it's pretty interesting. I'll share with you the link to the multi-account team page where you can find all the links if you want to join these discussions. I'll add that on the Go part, Andrea is in charge of this. And Andrea has also started to look at the designs for this multi-account work. And last thing we're working on is we've started some concrete discussion about support of point of sale scenarios for end of August for F Berlin. So we are basically trying to answer the question, can we do something by that time? What would it be? And there are some discussion that you can join also in the keycard channel about this. And that's it for me.
Yeah, cool, thank you. And I guess the only team that does with DevOps, right? I don't know, Corey, if you have something to say there.
No, I don't have anything for DevOps. Something about part of what I would discuss for DevOps will be what I brought up in the agenda and the GitHub issues, which we could discuss after we deal with the topic negotiation.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I hope I didn't forget anyone. Is there any team that I forgot about? No, doesn't seem so. So yeah, then let's probably start with topics, and the first one is the topic negotiation. I guess Andrea can brief us a little bit on the next iteration of this.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, as you probably already know, we would like to move away from having a single topic for Whisper. We had a few proposals, but the main issue was that basically it's difficult to make it backward compatible. Like, it's borderline impossible because of the way the application is structured. So we run directly on top of Whisper. There's no other layer on top of that. So we have no knowledge of how many clients there are on the other side. We use a multicast. So we send to a public key, and we have no central place where we have account information. And so basically there's no way we know that the user spin up a new device. And so we talked about it, and one solution proposed was to move to a device-to-device communication. So instead of sending a message to a single account or a public key, I send a message to all the devices that this user has. Not all of them. Maybe we're going to limit the 3 devices or whatever. In that way, we can actually start making negotiation about a topic, because basically I know exactly which device I'm targeting. If I'm not targeting them, they won't receive the message anyway. And so next step would be to have a protocol to basically negotiate a new topic so that we can move away from the shared topic. So I've made a proposal on Discuss. Hope you had a chance to take a look at it. It's pretty simple. Basically, the idea is that we're going to have version information with each device, which will propagate. If one of the device is sending a message to another device that has a compatible version, it's going to do a Diffie-Hellman. It's going to run Diffie-Hellman algorithm over his own private key and the public key of the receiver, and it's going to deduct a topic. It's going to be a secret key, and then we derive a topic, and we use the secret key for this topic. So the first message is not going to be sent on this topic because the other user will not know, but the user sending the message will listen to this topic. He's going to send a message on the shared topic. The other device is going to receive this message. It's going to derive the same key. It's going to listen as well to the other topic. So at this point, both devices are listening to the same topic. The next message the receiving end will send will be on the new topic. And once the one that initially sent the message will receive this message, we'll know that this topic has been acknowledged, and the conversation can continue on this new topic. So that's only for the simple case where there are 2 devices, but it's complicated from the fact that user can have multiple devices. And so basically, if you have multiple devices, before you can everyone can move on to the new topic, they need to be, each device needs to acknowledge this new topic. And so that's what basically this proposal explores. How can we make this? How can we make it work? And so it's not easy, meaning that, again, we are dealing with mostly offline devices. And so a mobile phone can be switched off for a day or 2, and that's not uncommon. You might not start the app, you might have desktop running, but no, your mobile app running. And so
Andrew, sorry to interrupt you, but the issue about multiple devices, I think the way we implemented the multiple device support is wrong. We should not use the same key for different devices. So if we had another key for another device, maybe could be easier to solve. What do you think?
It's identical. So the issue, I agree with you. I completely agree with you that, multiple devices, we should not have the same key. That I completely agree with you. The thing is that, you would have still the same problem at some point. You don't know if this device is offline. And, you don't really want to send, you don't want to negotiate a topic individually with each device, because otherwise there's no, if you have to send a message to the shared topic, then, you lost all the bandwidth saving, right? So if I'm targeting 3 devices and one of them is still on the shared topic, I will have to send a message on the shared topic, on the discovery topic, and essentially there's no bandwidth saving. So you would still have the same problem. But I agree with you that multi-device is much better if we have separate key for each device.
So, sorry, maybe I missed it, but what? Since you still have to be subscribed to the discovery topic, when do you start saving bandwidth?
You need to be subscribed, but you don't publish anymore. Say that me and you have only one device. After we send the message back and forth, if you send me a message, you're not going to send it to the discovery topic.
Yeah, but as long as I talk with people who have not updated, I'm still using the discovery topic.
Yes, so that we're not gonna break compatibility in one go. So, but the same method.
We do that at some point, because why are we always dragging things for so long? People will use the app much more if it was drastically reducing consumption on one go. And
so the idea is that you can use the same method to move to a partition topic. So eventually, we will not have one discovery topic. We'll have multiple topics, and that's your base topic. And you move. You see what I mean? You can use exactly the same negotiation, but you still would need, you still will fall back to the discovery topic initially if you have zero information. But generally speaking, that you have information about the devices that the user has before you send any message, because of the way bundles are propagated.
Yeah, and the same way it's like when we, for instance, switch to some other format of, protocol encoding, or we use protobuf instead of transit, or we use not maybe something else together with Whisper, some to be able to gradually switch. If we have this device negotiation, it opens more ways to upgrade the protocol in different ways.
So regarding the multiple devices, I still think that we could do something different to sync the devices, and then maybe you don't have to care about this. What I imagine is that we could have primary and secondary device. So the primary would take care about this, and the primary device would be probably the smartphone, or I'm not sure exactly the final idea, but then they make a secure connection directly outside Whisper, and then they synchronize the information. They maybe use the Whisper to establish this connection, but not to sync the messages and contacts and whatever. So I was imagining a different way to solve the problem of synchronization between devices. So maybe we can have that. We can have the solution that you're proposing for separation of topics. And then we can have a new discussion on having this a new way of making the synchronization between devices.
Well, I think we need to disambiguate some concepts here, and this is certainly happening in the messaging protocol research side of things. But one thing here is that, say, for example, Dean has worked on a mobile ad hoc network over the past few couple of days and got a hacky version of that running. So there's the ability to have different transports. But I think the underlying mechanism of synchronization should run irrespective of the transport that it's running on top of.
Yes, so that's how it stands at the moment. So just to address the point, so the solution, the Riccardo solution, this kind of solution generally for other, if you look at other protocols, they tend not to use this kind of a solution, because you can't rely on one device being online, or one device not being lost. If you lose that device, you have a master device. Then if you rely on a master device, then if you lose that master device, it becomes problematic. So generally what they do is they use either a always online server. So you could have the same strategies in Swarm and IPFS, for example. So you have a single point, and every device synchronized with that, and that's the source of truth. But if you have multiple sources of truth, among your devices, that becomes problematic if you rely too strongly on one or the other. So like seems at the moment they all share information among them devices already, and they're both peer. They're all like anyone can write. They're basically like 3 master devices that synchronize across them. We don't want to rely too strongly on one device being the master, and you don't want to rely too strongly on essentially desynchronization happening. Like it's much. Mostly people tend to use the sender will target 3 devices rather than target 1 device, and then this device syncs. That's bound to fail. That's not going to work, essentially. So we can discuss it, but these things need to be taken into consideration. But I think
good points, and I'm interested in participation in this discussion of having this new version of because it's a feature that I'm missing a lot, and I see that it's a lot of other messaging systems have something that, but of course they are relying on a single device. As you mentioned, this is not good for us. So I agree with your points, and we probably can find a solution that tweaks all these points that you mentioned. But yeah, but I think that's more important than the synchronization of devices is the reduction of the traffic, the network traffic at all. So I think that this should not be a blocker. So maybe we can disable this feature meanwhile if we don't have a solution for it, and then we can work in this new proposal for a synchronization of devices that work with this feature. That would be.
I have a question in regards to like how this may work in its ideal scenario. Say for instance, we go with this, and the main Whisper topic becomes basically a negotiation topic that allows people to then offload into fragmented topics. As we scale in users, does that negotiation topic just become just as congested as it is now, even if we've moved a good portion of the actual conversation elsewhere?
So the Whisper network load will increase, meaning like the overall with regardless of topic, because every message is propagated by everyone. But this fragmented topic, no, they will not, because this topic are particular to a one-to-one conversation.
Yeah, but the negotiation topic, the fallback topic, and where you're negotiating where to go, that's not the main thing that everyone's subscribing to. We'll get just as congested as everyone just uses it for negotiations, because everyone is listening to everyone's negotiations.
Correct, but we're going to use my mind that with the same method we're going to use the partition topic. So we're going to introduce partition topic potentially at the same time.
So this kicks the can down the road until we can partition the negotiation topic when we need to do that. Is that correct?
Correct. We'll have to support still, we'll have potentially to send again back onto the discovery topic. So this essentially like we start from the discovery topic. Then if we have any information about the devices, we potentially use the partition topic. Then we negotiate a topic on whatever we decide, whatever is available. Discovery topic for older devices and partition topic for newer devices. So eventually, we can imagine that eventually with the less and less traffic will go into the discovery topic, more traffic will go to the partition topic, which will essentially, we know how it's going to scale. It's going to scale similar to what the discovery topic scales now. At the moment, we have 5,000 different topics, and we assume the keys are randomly distributed across them. And then once these two devices have a conversation, they're going to move on onto their own topic, essentially. Which, yeah.
It's certainly better than how we do things now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to clarify, like this obviously is, there is no upper bound there, right? So the more users, sooner or later, you will may like asymptotically, you may find the amount of users that will generate over a gigabyte of just negotiations of this topic. But yeah, I think by this time, I'm not sure if we'll be using Whisper then and things like that. So it's just a question of practicality currently. So if we want to keep backward compatibility, we have to use this topic somehow for some time.
Well, I mean, I like the graceful solution of scaling down our dependence upon this type of thing, but at some point we may need to break compatibility and say this is a much better way to do things if we want people to actually use the app.
Yeah, but then it's also the question. We need maybe some other negotiation mechanism, like to think about it like later on while we still have enough time, so we can introduce it for the new versions, but still use that for the old versions, and very gracefully phase out the old one. Yeah. Cool. Is there anything else for this?
So a question about the one-to-one chats on this new system. Are the topics being wretched or not?
Currently, the proposal they wouldn't be, just because of simplicity, and also with discussion, and just complicates things in terms of fetching from mail services and so on. That's something we can leave room for, essentially.
I would say that it brings some. I wouldn't say that it brings obvious privacy benefits, but it definitely causes some technical challenges. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to do that, at least in Whisper.
Hold on, just for clarity's sake, that's ratcheting of the topics and not the actual conversation. So we're still preserving perfect forward secrecy, just not necessarily changing the topic.
Yeah, you jump from a topic to topic, so it's hard to figure out who's talking to who. But
we can deal with that later on down the line, as long as conversation security is still there.
Yeah.
So another question is about the handshake topic. I think it's not the way we're calling it, but is this used only for the legacy clients, or the new proposal everyone have to use the same topic? Or maybe the topic is based on the public key of the receiver. Just to clarify that, I didn't get it well.
So basically, so say that, so it's me and you, we both have a device. As it stands, if we have no information about each other, we will use this discovery topic. I will send you a message on the discovery topic. And so the handshake will happen on the discovery topic. It's just going to be one message though. Depends. But, one message, if you reply to this message, you reply already on the new topic. So it's going to very quickly move to the other topic. So if we have no information on the devices, this is not generally the case because device information are propagated periodically. And so, I have from experience, most of the time I send a message to you, I already have information about your device. If I already have information about your device, we're going to move on to the handshake will happen on a partition topic, which is basically 5,000 times theoretically less bandwidth intense than the.
So the handshake topic is used for certifying that this new user is using this new version.
No, we use yet another topic. That's a personal topic, and that's because otherwise, you would also, we don't advertise device information on the discovery topic, because that, it's just too resource intensive. So,
question. Instead of using the same topic, couldn't we? As I'm sending a message to someone, I know their public key, so maybe the topic could be derived from that. Or it's obligated to everyone?
That's how partition topic works. That's exactly how partition topic works.
Okay, but then why I need to use this handshake topic? Couldn't I just
keep you compatible with the old versions that have no idea about this partition?
Yes.
Okay, so it's about compatibility. So okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
So basically, I'll try to tell all the branches of this tree. So. First of all, if I have no information about you, I will start negotiating with you on the discovery topic, on this old topic. And if you are not responding to my handshakes, then our one-on-one conversation just happens on the partitioning topic. Then if I don't know anything about you, but you respond to the handshake on the discovery topic, then we negotiate on the discovery, but talk on the separate topic that we negotiated. And the third version, if I already know something about your device, then we negotiate on the partitioning topic and then move to some specific topic in one-on-one. So they're like these branches, as I understand.
Andrea, that actually reminds me, I wanted to talk to you. No, we don't have to do it on this call, a bit later, about some of the changes to the chat keys that I've been thinking about. So essentially, I don't want to publish the user's public key on ENS for ENS usernames, but rather treat that public key as a as sort of like an inbox or a listening inbox. This would be the partition topic. And then that gives the end user the ability to voluntarily reach out to the requester. But they would also do that under a different public key, which would be essentially like a mask, which every chat would end up having its own unique public key. Anyway, it's probably like a longer conversation and I'm sure it will probably bore a lot of other people, but I'll definitely like to chat with you about that later.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, I think that what you said, Jared, makes a lot of sense. I think that it's something that we definitely should go forward.
Okay, so any other ideas about topic negotiation, or we can switch to another topic? No pun intended.
That's quality, no pun intended.
Well, I told this sentence, and then I figured out that I kind of put myself into a corner, and I have to have another word for this. So. Yeah. So Corey, you had this one more topic.
Yeah, we had a security disclosure desktop through HackerOne, and in the process of fixing it, and building a post-mortem about it, which we're still in the process of doing and getting out. So we're not going to talk too much about the security issue. No, there's no real problems there, just to broadcast that out. It's become clear that I think that the PR process needs, I'd say, maybe additional automation or transparency or clarity in terms of when PRs are sent and merged. That doesn't necessarily mean that the work is finished. And we're not, and I'm having a hard time, I imagine others are, in terms of finding where the baton gets passed and who's taking responsibility, as well as what needs to be done for this particular issue to be finished outside of the PR. For instance, this particular thing, and I can probably talk more on this, but the PR was sent and merged, but it didn't actually fix the issue. Other things needed to be done for the issue to be fixed. And Anna was not quite sure on when she needed to start testing or what she needed to start testing on before she could say, yes, this is, the issue's been fixed and I validated it. And so I want to have a conversation around what we can do around the PR process to make this process much more clear in terms of what's required of getting the actual work done and who's going to take responsibility for that. And like maybe what we could do in DevOps or to automate this process. Bots process in terms of how you structure your PR. I don't know. I mean, Anna, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, it's hard to to add more details without actually mentioning the issue, but I will try. So let's say it concerns only issues that would result in some hotfixes done on desktop or mobile, or maybe on both types of the app we have. So like if you, for example, as a developer, prepared the PR, but like how it would help me as a tester, I need like a very precise information on what should be done next in order for us to push the hotfix out. So PR is like just a start, right? Like testing needs to check it. Probably if it's a hotfix, testing does not need to check the PR itself because developer already checked it. But testing would need some release build created for mobile app or for desktop app for both desktop and mobile. And then testing would need to start it. And this is like the gap I see right now, that again, we have some assumptions that it's enough to match the PR, build release build, and it's over. Like it's ready, it's done, it's pushed. The like problem that sometimes it's not enough, or like release builds are failing, and again, we don't have like exact owner of this thing. Like test team would ping Jakub would look why Jenkins is failing, and it just takes longer, especially when you have this, time that actually ticking, and that you need to deliver the hotfix as soon as possible. Actually, each minute counts. So, like just making sure that when you created a PR, you kind of care about it and put it to the next state. And the next state would be, again, probably delivering the release build that contains a fix. I really don't care, would it be that PR, a bunch of PRs, change of the Jenkins setting, really don't care. I just like, on the testing side, I need a clear signal on here is your release build. This is the changes we've done that would fix the problem. Start testing it. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Anna. So that's we have a clear, like that's one identified problem in the PR process. We need to basically make it more clear that this is required. These are the required steps that need to be done before testing can start. Is there any, like, can anyone else here discuss any maybe issues that they're currently having with the PR process so that we can take a look at how to fix that? Now's a good time to speak up if you're pissed off about something or annoyed.
No, but basically the main idea is that the job is not finished when the PR is sent, right? So the work is done when the release is released. So it should be a little bit, because sometimes it's obvious that it's very easy to, I pushed this PR, so I fixed it and it's done. But sometimes just you need to actively follow up on your PR to make sure it's included and the right commits are included and things like that.
Or if you need to reference other PRs in the state of those things, if they're dependent upon, like if something is dependent upon you finishing, but the actual release doesn't get cut until maybe one or two others are finished based on that dependency, those need to be referenced appropriately. So like, what can we do to make sure that gets done automatically so that people aren't working based on assumptions of others?
The only other issue I've been having with the request is the amount of time that they still stay open.
Pedro, you're coming in pretty garbled. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
is it just me?
No, it's my.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand. It's like too deep, the voice.
What about now?
Better.
Okay, so I was saying that the only other issue I've been still seeing with the PR process is the amount of time that it takes to review, to get a PR reviewed. Normally, it's when it's Nix stuff or DevOps stuff, it's just a few lines. It's not big PRs, but have a big impact. So it's difficult to get the second review in order to be able to merge, and I regularly have 3 or 4 pull requests open, and unless I go out on status and ping nag people about it, they will stay there. So I don't know if it's a question of making it clear that those are short reviews, and maybe we could add something to the titles saying like, an estimation of the size or the time taken for the review. Maybe that wouldn't help. Or having a bot that pings people with that info, I don't know. But yeah, it's something that I've been seeing.
I think a context and time estimate would be really nice. Like say this will take so on and so forth for someone in this team, or like.
Yeah, one thing that I added is the code owners file. So you can, it's like a git ignore. It follows the same rules as the git ignore file. But you can say, okay, if a PR touches this part of the branch or this type of file, then this person is responsible. So hopefully that will already, we just need to tweak that file, find the owners, the people that normally would review that part of the code, and maybe at least you start getting pinged for stuff that is relevant to you.
That I'm trying to think like how can that work for us informing the test team when things are appropriate for them to start working?
I think it should be a release.
No, but sometimes it's. I mean, it's easy when it's just one PR that needs to be fixed. But yeah, sometimes it's being a bit tricky. So.
But regarding the initial issue, that was mentioned by Anna, wouldn't this have been a case of creating maybe an epic with a structured to-do list of what needs to happen for this to actually get included in the release? And only when all the boxes have been ticked can we consider that done.
To some extent it helps, but for example, I do create such umbrella issue for normal release, like release number 12 or 13. You can even check in the GitHub. So just to track how release is going, what's to be included, what other steps to be done besides including issues and testing. But the trick for hotfix was that it was not quite clear what else should be done. And it was even not super clear to other developers in the team. Like, okay, there is a PR and there is some other PR, but we still don't know are we done or not. Like, if this PR would be merged to the release. I'm sorry, again, I will not talk about the details. So, but it was some binaries to be whatever built, not in the build that we usually use for the release. Sorry for like if it doesn't tell you anything, but that's all.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember the situation. I happened to see the discussion about this, and I pinged people saying, okay, this needs to be a new Nix build. Needs to be changes going on. But yeah, I think right now, since not everyone is up to date with how Nix is working, it's probably not clear how things get updated, and hopefully with time that also will be clearer on people's minds and more present.
So what's going on? Like what are the pull requests that are being included in the nightly releases? Maybe that would be a place to test. So if the PR merges, and then of course you need to signal the test team to, that issue was fixed, it's on the nightly builds. Maybe that would be a way to go forward, or maybe we can have a secondary release that would be like a beta nightly, not sure, to do this.
Ricardo, how we usually done, like how it's usually done for typical PR, we do test build for the PR only, and then when it's tested, okay, it's merged to the nightly. So there is no problem there. It's like it's a normal release, sorry, not release, but it's a normal process for typical PRs. Here I'm talking about the PR that is supposed to fix some, let's say, critical issue or security issue, and we need to release hotfix for it.
Okay, so it's more along the lines of that we need a better process around identifying all the things that need to be done for a hotfix, and making sure that we have owners of those various things, right?
Yes, and like from my point of view, we can't automate it because at that moment we don't know enough to say this is and this like would fix it or whatever would be enough. Probably the author, like the developer who created PR that is supposed to fix the issue, knows a bit more, especially if this person is knowledgeable in like some area, like desktop, I don't know, wallet, anything. Maybe that person would know the like extra bits we need to do on top of the PR. And I don't see better things than just to ask that person, are we done or not? Like, where is the release build we're going to test? Does it include everything? And actually, so that's it.
It's difficult. So it's difficult for you to test, for example, a complex anomaly in the build. For example, let's say a function that you do inside of the app that you don't know how to do it because you need like some exploit, something like that prepared to test it. So that would be the problem on understanding if it's fixed or not. And maybe then these hot fixes that are needed, they could come with a test exploit or maybe something like that to make it easier for you to test. So then you can just open the app and try to run this secondary thing that would test it.
Okay, I think a lot of this could be solved by just having more of a standardized template for what's required in terms of getting a hot fix through. And so when people are writing these things out and submitting PRs, there's a certain amount of things that you have to include in these types of PRs so that everyone in the organization can understand what needs to be done before it's considered finished. As opposed to just saying, I fixed it, go ahead.
Yeah, template would be useful, of course, if it will be used. Also, remember that for security reports and for the hotfixes on like security issues, we do have another repo at least for like bug reports about security issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also then we also need to think about how much information do we want to reveal in the public repo and how to deal with this. Because if you put in the hotfix for security issues that is being in process right now, and you would describe everything there, then you would actually reveal the problems that's still present in the current application without hotfix, right? Because we're kind of working on it. So probably in addition to the template, we also need to think how to organize such communication, such process in like, again, maybe in the private repos somehow, and then put all the information there until it's released, and then we can reveal it to the community.
I'll put thought into that and how we can do that and draft something up that we can agree on.
In this case, if there is the case of a security vulnerability and a security fix, how the users would be informed to update them? Let's say that is something very critical and then the users would need to update it. Like I don't see any way to send a message, hey, there is a new version of status, you should update it. Maybe it's something that we should start thinking of having. Maybe something related to the work of Jared on the smart contracts for releasing status. So maybe that's something that we should prioritize because of this case. Let's say that if this happens, we don't have any way of telling our users. So maybe the users need to be constantly on the discuss or follow us on Twitter, and this might not be very effective.
Well, the only way we can do that can't be spammed is if we have a centralized service that we can have control of that is hooked into the app itself. at least so far as I can tell. I mean, we can do it through a smart contract, and so that's controlled by multisig. We can message through that the app is hard coded with, in terms of like an emergency type of situation where you can send a various message that will automatically pop up with some modal. But in terms of using Whisper for that, it's not a scenario that we can do, at least for now. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, in the case of we have the update of the App Store, but this would be more for desktop, I guess. But yeah, you're right.
Okay, I'll think about that too. So from here, I'll draft up both a regular hotfix / security hotfix process, so that it becomes more clear in terms of how these things get fixed and what needs to be done until we can consider them fixed, and then how to pass the baton on various stages along that process, so that it's not like I don't want to have anything that we do in terms of development ever be driven by assuming things. I assume this is what needs to be done before I can start working, because that as we keep growing and the complexity keeps growing, that's going to like bottleneck a lot of our efficiency. Or you have problems and then things break or don't get done. So I'll try and get that out this week.
Yeah, sounds good. So then it's discuss post or something like that, or yeah. No. Yeah, and I think that's it also shouldn't be mixed with a normal release process, and because hotfixes, they require a little bit different. Because for the normal releases, we usually can just worst case just postpone the release and do it like a few weeks later, but it's not true for critical security issues, and so it requires a little bit more attention.
Okay, I'm cool there.
Cool. So anything else on this topic? Anyone who didn't tell anything especially? Okay. So then, is there any other topics to discuss that were not on the agenda? Okay, so I'll take it as a no. So yeah, then thank you so much for joining today's meeting, and have a nice week, everyone, and see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Igor.
See you guys.
Yeah, and special thanks to Pedro for taking notes.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.